This video will explain what an education, health and care needs assessment is, what happens in a needs assessment, and the possible outcomes. An EHC Needs assessment is a full assessment of your child or young person's educational, health and social care needs. Parents and schools can request a needs assessment if they feel school are unable to meet need despite putting in a high level of support. The timescale for a needs assessment is 20 weeks. When a request is received by the local authority, they will look at some initial evidence, including anything sent by the parent and information from school. This can include things like their school support plan and any reports from any professionals. The local authority will decide whether or not to do a needs assessment based on something called the legal test. This is a two-part test set out in Section 36 of the Children and Families Act, and both parts must be met before the local authority can agree to a needs assessment. This is the legal test. The local authority must secure an EHC needs assessment for the child or young person if A. The child or young person has or may have special educational needs, and B. It may be necessary for special educational provision to be made for the child or young person in accordance with an EHC plan. It's important to be aware of the word may have special educational needs and may require provision in line with an EHCP. The bar or threshold to meet this test is very low. The legal test for a needs assessment is not whether your child or young person definitely has SEN or that they definitely need an EHCP. It's whether they may need special educational provision through an EHCP. There are two outcomes following a request for an EHC needs assessment. The local authority must inform you of their decision in writing within 6 weeks of the initial request. The first possible outcome is that the local authority refuse to conduct an EHC needs assessment. You have several options if this happens, and we have another video which goes through these options and your next steps. You can find the link to this video in the description. The second possible outcome is that the local authority agree to conduct a needs assessment. Let's look at what this means. The local authority are responsible for carrying out EHC needs assessments. They must seek information and advice on your child or young person's needs, the provision required to meet those needs, and the outcomes they are expected to achieve. The local authority have a legal duty to contact specific people for their views. This includes yourself as a parent or your young person if they're aged 16 and over. Professionals will be asked to conduct an assessment and give their advice. This is generally a report about your child or young person's needs and the support that is required for them. The local authority seek educational advice. This usually comes from the head teacher or principal of the school your child currently attends, medical advice from healthcare professionals, psychological advice from an educational psychologist, advice and information in relation to social care, any other person the local authority thinks it would be appropriate to be involved, and any other person the parent or young person requests the local authority to contact, as long as this is reasonable. If the child or young person is in year 9 or above, the local authority should also gather advice in relation to preparation for adulthood. The advice provided by professionals should be clear, accessible and specific. It should address your child's needs, the support they require and the outcomes which this provision will aim to achieve. There are two possible outcomes following an EHC needs assessment. The first one is that the local authority refuse to issue an EHC plan. The local authority will do this if they feel that your child's needs can be met in school without an EHC plan. You have the right to appeal this decision, and you can find information about this in the video description. The second outcome is that the local authority agrees to issue an EHC plan. We have another video which explains what an EHC plan is, and you can find the link to this in the video description. If the local authority agreed to issue an EHCP, you will first get a draft plan. You will have 15 days to check through the plan and make representations. This means telling the local authority if there is anything you want to be changed on the plan. At this point, you should also request an educational setting for your child. We have information on schools and placements on our website, and you can find further information about draft EHC plans in the video description. The local authority will then consider any changes you have requested and do a consultation with your chosen educational setting. This means they will send them a copy of your child's EHCP, and they will tell the local authority whether or not they are able to meet your child's needs. The local authority will then issue a final EHCP. The final EHCP should be issued within 20 weeks of the local authority first receiving the request for a needs assessment. You have the right to appeal Section B, which is the description of your child's educational needs, Section F, which is the description of the educational provision, and Section I, which is the educational placement. You can also ask the tribunal to make recommendations on the health and social care sections. You can find out more about your rights to appeal and next steps in the video description.